Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel.
And my name is Colton.
We are the Movie Masons. Today, we're going to be talking about Jackie. The film stars Natalie Portman as Jackie Kennedy in the days following her husband's assassination. It's a very surreal film, and hopefully, we'll have an interesting discussion on it. So, Colton, what were some of the things you really liked about the movie?
The two things in the movie and the things that the movie did that impressed me the most were the performances and the score. I thought that Natalie Portman
Hmm.
did a pretty good job as Jackie Kennedy. I am not a big history buff. I don't know too much about history or what Jackie Kennedy was like or anything like that. But I can imagine that Natalie Portman's performance, as much as Natalie Portman's facial expressions cannot completely contort to Jackie Kennedy's appearance. As far as her performance goes, I thought it was pretty much pitch perfect for the type of movie this was. Even though this is a historical biopic, there's a lot of intensity that comes with the scenes in both the cinematography and the score.
Right.
There's a shallow depth of field that the director of photography keeps throughout most of the film that adds a layer of intensity that makes you feel like Jackie Kennedy, makes you feel like you're dealing with the fallout caused by your husband's assassination in a nation that's constantly looking at you, looking at how you're going to react, trying to process their commander in chief being slain. And Natalie Portman's performance is captivating in the fact that she wants her husband to be remembered for the good that he did and the kind of man that he was, and she doesn't want her husband to go down in history as a William McKinley or a Garfield, a president that was not remembered, but a president that was assassinated in office.
I agree. The performances in particular for me are some of the highlights of the film as well. Natalie Portman, as you said, as Jackie Kennedy, is amazing. Billy Crudup plays a reporter, Theodore White. He was pretty good. Um, all of the performances across the board. The Sarsgaard as Robert Kennedy was good. And I don't know the actor's name, Casper Philipson, I believe. The actor they have that portrayed John F. Kennedy was very accurate. The other thing I really enjoyed there, other than the performances, was the way the movie stylistically portrayed the time period. Very much like you said, it felt like you were in the 1960s. There was a lot of archival footage, good use of archival footage. There was a lot of almost art house film-esque style cinematography that I really appreciated. So with that being said though, Colton, what are some of the things that you didn't like about the movie?
Some of the things I didn't like, even though Natalie Portman was amazing as Jackie Kennedy, and some of the supporting performances, like you said, were good. John Hurt was also good as a priest who talks to Jackie Kennedy about her spiritual turmoil. Some of the side characters who were also politically important, like Peter Sarsgaard's Bobby Kennedy, John Carroll Lynch's Lyndon B. Johnson, and people like that, they're actors that are really great at performing diverse, complicated characters that don't get a lot of time to shine. Now, again, this movie is about Jackie Kennedy. It's not necessarily about them, and the supporting actors are good in their roles, but I would have liked to see more of the reactions of some of these other people. The movie tries to give us small glimpses of the different other politicians' reactions, like Lyndon B. Johnson, Lady Bird Johnson, Nancy, played by Greta Gerwig, who's a friend of Jackie Kennedy.
Yeah.
The movie tries to give us glimpses of how they reacted, but most of their reaction just involves them trying to comfort Jackie Kennedy or try to lead her down what they believe is the right procedure in burying her husband and moving on with the country and letting the Johnsons take the reins as president and first lady. And I believe that I would have liked to see more of them, if not necessarily focusing the movie on those supporting characters.
That's understandable. There definitely was a disconnect between, it was almost like the movie wanted to show more about those characters, but it was focusing so much on Jackie herself that it kind of just left them to the wayside a little bit awkwardly. The big issue I had with the movie, I enjoyed it for what it was, the artistic value I got out of it. I enjoyed the focus on Jackie Kennedy. I enjoyed many of the aspects of her life that were told in the movie, but it dragged on so much for me. I There were so many times where I kind of just wanted to sit back and fall asleep almost, because the narrative style is told a little bit out of order, which is fine, but it's a 2 to 3 day period stretched over the course of about 2 hours, and not a whole lot happens.
I agree. I believe that the film itself tries to stretch. I believe the runtime was around 90 minutes or 100 minutes, and I believe that the film does try to stretch that runtime. It did feel like it dragged a little bit. Some of the mundane things of the admittedly traumatic and horrifying experience of what Jackie Kennedy went through, some of the mundane things like the planning of the funeral, for example, the ushering in of Lyndon B. Johnson as president, some of the news conferences that they have to go through, some of the press that she has to talk to. A lot of those mundane aspects, the movie attempts to make them more interesting and make them more extreme, and it is very hit or miss in terms of showing a scene, and a lot of the scenes did feel obligatory. A lot of the scenes felt like, okay, well, we have to get from point A to point B, so we have to let the audience know Jackie Kennedy chose to do this so that this could happen. But that doesn't necessarily make for a compelling cinematic experience, rather than checking a box so that the story can progress in a natural way. And in turn, it does make some of the pacing feel very forced.
Fair enough, fair enough. So overall, how would you rank this movie?
I really, really enjoyed Jackie despite its pacing issues. I thought the cinematography was great. The score was great. Natalie Portman's performance was great. There wasn't too much for me to dislike except for the pacing and the minor narrative inconsistency. So I'm going to give Jackie a solid 4 out of 5. I think it's worth watching and buying on Blu-ray. I wouldn't necessarily go see it in theaters unless you're a super fan of Natalie Portman or you're a big history buff, but I do believe it's worth seeing.
That's fair. I'm going to give this a solid 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it a lot for what it was. I appreciate it is a better way to say that. I wasn't entertained by it. I will probably never watch it again. If you are into art house movies or period pieces that are more abstract, you will go bananas for this movie. The other thing is, I did forget to mention, you brought this up earlier, Colton, was the score. The score is fantastic. The score is really good too.
Yes. Speaking of very surreal, very art housey movies, the score was done by, I don't know if it's Micah or Mika Levi, who is a professional cello player, and she did a score for a much more surreal, much more abstract art house film called Under the Skin, which is also excellent. So I was not disappointed in the score at all.
So yeah, the score itself was really good. Well, guys, that's going to do it for now. We hope you all enjoyed our review. As always, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Colton.
We'd love to know what you think. If you had any strong opinions of this movie and would like to share them with us, please comment below or tweet us at The Movie Masons on Twitter. But until then, we are The Movie Masons signing off. Take care, everyone.